Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Katie. This is my channel, This Chick Who Makes Things. Today I'm going to talk about my experience with stenciling and my experience with my first art journal. I am an everyday creative maker. I do not have formal training. I love to get my hands messy and explore, and I love to share about it to help others on their creative journey as well, whether you're just starting out or you've been at it for a long time. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to take some paint that is a mixing white paint, and I have a blunt, stiff, kind of dry brush. It was actually just in a bulk brush kit from Michael's Craft Stores that I probably picked up for my kids, and I found it one day looking through their craft supplies, and I thought, I bet this would be good for stenciling. So it's a firm brush. It's very dry. It doesn't have like those soft, silky bristles. It's got really rough, coarse bristles, and it's round and it's a flat bottom. And so I take a little bit of the paint, I put it onto the page, and I dab my brush in that first, wiping off any excess, and then apply that to my stencil. Now, stencils are very simple in theory to use. As someone who likes to get a little messy and excited when I create what's happened in the past and why I didn't really use stencils much, I would put too much paint, and it never seemed to fail that the paint would like run under the stencil and then it would blur and mess up the image. And I tried brushes, I tried sponges, because most of the time when I was working with acrylics, I would use sponges to paint with. The problem was that the makeup sponges I used soak up so much paint that if you push down and you add a little pressure of that type of sponge, extra paint would come through, and then the stencil, again, it would put too much on the stencil and it would get underneath and get too messy. I tried little rollers, little sponge rollers to go over my stencils. Same thing. The sponges would soak up that excess paint, and it would get a little messy if you put too much pressure on your stencil, or the stencil would move. So I'm revisiting it as I'm learning about mixed media. I picked up this kit of 4 stencil sheets on Amazon. I really like it. They have like patterns and textures, and then there's a few images. There's a couple butterflies and a dragonfly. By applying a thinner layer of paint and using that dry brush where there's not a whole lot of excess paint, it's giving me a much cleaner application. So that has been a huge game changer for me. And again, these are the types of things most people are like, how can you not use a stencil? But if you ever have struggled trying to learn new things, especially when it comes to arts and crafts, you can quickly talk yourself out of it and go, well, I'm just not good at it, and I shouldn't do it anymore. Because in a lot of ways, when it comes to creativity or being artistic, it's all about talent, and it's a mindset of you either have it or you don't. We don't think about the fact that people tend to practice over and over again, or they try things over and over and over again. And that even somebody who seems wickedly talented without much training learned something from somewhere, right? So the good thing about an art journal is that it allows you the space to create and know that you shut the book. No one has to see it. It doesn't have to be a finished project that you hang on the wall. It doesn't have to be anything other than a safe space to create. And it doesn't matter what it looks like or what you do or if it's wrecked or not. When you are working on a canvas or a gesso board or some kind of large piece of paper or a substrate that looks like it's a finished product should go there, and you want to hang it, display it, or sell it, that can create a lot of intimidation. And I've had so many people tell me over the years, like, oh, I just don't want to waste the supplies. I would really love to try it. It looks so fun when I see other people do it, but I'm not talented. I can't. I'll waste stuff. That fear can be very limiting with what you explore. So the art journal has really been fun for me because of the fact that I've just taken each page and I explore and I try different things and I see what works. I allow myself to have fun in the moment of creating. I don't have a finished project in mind with most of these pages. Sometimes I may go, okay, I really want to try drawing a face because I'm learning how to draw. And that's still very new to me. So I might practice, like, where would the eyes go? What would they look like? What do they look like when I use this or that? And what's happening is I'm having so much fun in the creative process that when I go back and look at pictures, I enjoy looking at them. And there are some I like more than others. There are some that I think look really good the way they are, and there are others that I'm like, it's not my favorite, but I also remember doing it and it was a lot of fun. And I can look at it and remember what I used, what materials or what kind of paints. Did I use watercolor? Did I use oil pastels? Did I use, did I use alcohol inks? Did I use acrylic ink? What did I use? I can tell that by looking at most of these when I go back and flip through the pages. And so the freedom of creating in a journal that is not a finished piece that has to be hung up or displayed on a wall or sold, and just allowing that journal to be there for the sake of creation itself, invites play and easiness and flow. And the more fun you have, I feel like the more you appreciate the finished result, almost no matter what it looks like, because you remember the fun you had in creating it. And the other thing is, when you start your journal, maybe you create every day, maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once a month, every other week, whatever, you'll see the styles change and move throughout your creative process. And you'll see the growth or the change or the trends that you have in your creative voice. The other thing you can do is you can use this as a resource. You can make note of what you used. What order did you apply things? What were you studying or learning from at the time? If you're taking a course or you're watching another YouTuber or an Instagram person that, shares what they do, like, is there someone that you're being influenced or inspired by? You can make note of all of those things, which can be a really helpful resource to go back and look at and go, oh, okay, yeah, that's how I got that look. I used watercolor first, and then I layered it with this, and then I added a little acrylic ink, and then I used that particular paint marker over that brand. And it can be a super cool resource if you want it to be. Otherwise, if you don't, you just make and you have fun, and it can be something to share with friends or family or pass down to your kids, or maybe you add more layers. Maybe you fill it up and you go back and you pick out some pages and you paint over it again. I think it's a really, really fun thing that I'm super glad I invested in, and I know I will be doing more. I'm already looking at different types of art journals and books that I can use. My next thing that I want to incorporate is an art Rolodex that I've seen people do that I think is just fascinating. I love the idea of little outlets for creativity. Thank you. Have a good day.